likes it or not, I'm still going to do my Bluebell, Bo. That's just the way it is.
They can take my home.
Yep.
They can take my car. They can take my natural gas stove, but they're not taking my damn ice cream. It's mine, Joe. Find another dessert.
Or my guns. You don't get my guns either. Just throwing that in there.
Good call.
Or my
I think there
garden,
was a
as
draft.
sad as it is.
I think there was a draft of the Constitution where someone wanted to predicate the Second Amendment on protecting ice cream. Right? Like, we need guns so that someone doesn't come for all of our cold, delicious treats.
Or it was in the life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness and ice cream. No, we can't have that last part.
And sprinkles and whipped cream and cherries on it. Like, it just kept going. And somebody's like, you got to friggin' edit this, man.
Yeah, but that all falls under happiness. So Jefferson was like, you guys are too wordy. It all falls under happiness. We're good.
See, Samuel, I see it as not I'm afraid, the conservatives will start hating ice cream. We should use it as a unifying topic. And we should just relegate it to everybody likes ice cream. It's not special that he likes ice cream. It's not special that anybody likes ice cream. Almost everybody likes ice cream. Let's go enjoy ice cream together.
No, I'm with you. That's what I'm saying as well. That we've in discourse, we've way too often these days take that trade off, right? Like, oh, Hillary Clinton thinks we should rebuild our communities. Well, I'm going to go out and burn down a bowling alley today just to show her. You hear that all day long in discourse. Like, if Joe Biden likes ice cream, I hate it, and it could spread.
I bet if you remember when Joe Biden tripped over that sandbag on stage and bit the dust, I bet if he had an ice cream cone in his hand, it never would have touched the ground.
I bet a bunch of rednecks invested in sandbags because they're like, hell, sandbags hate Joe Biden. I'm buying one.
Yeah, we call that beanbag toss or cornhole in my neck of the woods.
Cornhole was a good dude.
I think we have to not let Joe Biden set the standard for anything anymore, ever again.
Well, he's still breathing in oxygen and exhaling CO. I can't give that up, but I'll leave it there.
All right, great debate. What kind of cone? We have those little cups that are chewy like styrofoam. We have the waffle cone
Waffle
and
cone.
the sugar cone.
Fresh made waffle cone.
With interior chocolate. Yes.
All right, if you have a regular old vanilla looking cone and it has the paper on it and you can't get the paper all the way off, who eats the paper? Show of hands.
You just have to eat it, Webb. It's like you take one for the team. And really, I want to warn you guys about these waffle cones. And I've delivered this message before. Waffles are decidedly European and therefore mostly evil. And anyone who's like trying to trick you into putting your ice cream into a waffle cone is making you less American. And you want the annoying little cake cone, right? Like Webb was describing, that strange, tastes somewhat like styrofoam. I don't know what it's made of, but it means you're American. The pointy cones and all that waffle stuff, that's just Europe trying to like break down our national character.
Well, pizza's Italian, and I'll scarf that up like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah, I say we steal the best of what the Europeans had, and then that's what we've always done. Fine by me. And leave all the bad stuff out.
Well, you realize that
I was gonna
we
say.
kicked them out the country, but we kept the food. So we got it right.
Hell yeah, keep the best and kick out the worst.
I think if we can do it with that attitude, we make everything decidedly American. It now has a new value to it.
Well, look at us this morning, reclaiming ice cream, taking back the sugar cone, the waffle cone. And Tap thought it was, we were mailing it in. No, we're solving problems this morning.
Kevin, I want to warn you because I grew up in the 80s and there was a moment where all of a sudden heavily synthesized pop music started coming from Europe to the United States. And instantly some clever person was like, oh, we call that Euro trash or, new wave or some shit. And nobody thought twice about it. They're like, oh, it's annoying, don't worry. But look what Depeche Mode has done to us. That's all I'm saying. Like, tiny little keyboard music started streaming across the ocean from Europe, and the next thing you know, right, like the whole world's gone nuts.
Oh, this just in. Moody's downgrades ratings of 10 U.S. banks. How about that?
Yeah, I saw that. That's getting a little scary.
Until you find out Moody's is really just a guy named Mark Zandy that lives in a little apartment in a place called Westchester, Pennsylvania, or thereabouts. And he just sits in his house and says crazy shit, and people are like, Moody's downgraded the U.S. credit. I think Fitch already did it last week, maybe, like took us from AAA down to double A plus. And then you wonder, what the hell does all that mean?
Snopes was like one millennial, like chick, just sitting in her basement somewhere. Nobody realized it.
It's so they could charge us more interest on our debt. That's the only reason they're doing that stuff. Just swell that thing up so the new world currency can come swooping in and save us all right?
But hey, Bidenomics.
Sucks!
That kills me.
Well, I had the dubious distinction of going to Port Lavaca, Texas, and attending a little Republican get together. We had Lois Colkhurst, which is a Texas senator, as a speaker and attorney who actually writes all the legal mumbo jumbo so the layman can't understand what's in the bill and puts in all the loopholes. So if it doesn't go our way, we can claim this, that, or the other thing. And they had a little question and answer thing and screwed up and gave me a microphone. And just to set the table, the demographic was, I say, average 55 years old. All the youngsters weren't in there. There were a few, don't get me wrong. But when they handed me the mic, first thing I said was, all right, I need a show of hands. I said, two questions. And I said, comes in two parts, but I'm going to tell you both questions up front so you know how to vote in your own head. I said, first off, I need to know how many rhinos are in the room. And then I need to know how many constitutional conservative Republicans we have in the room. And all of a sudden, the mumbling started and all that kind of stuff, started looking around at each other and all that. And it was just kind of comical. And I said, okay, how many rhinos? No hands went up. How many constitutional conservative Republicans we got in here? And of course, some didn't want to participate. And I'd say half the hands went up and that sort of thing. And I said, well, can I ask y'all a serious question? Why on earth are there no youngsters in this room? And uh, they're a little mumbling back and forth to the people sitting next to each other. I said, "Let me give you one example. This is of course isn't national politics. This is state politics." I says, "I for one, I'm opposed to abortion, but then again, I'm not female, and I'll never have to deal with that particular thing directly. Indirectly, yes, but not directly. But you realize that Texas passed and legislation was signed." That you cannot get an abortion even in the cases of rape and incest. And I says, now, I can tell you of 3 youngsters that I know of personally who have told me straight up that they will not vote Republican because of that. Because if your Uncle Bob came up and popped you and you ended up pregnant, you were not entitled to get rid of that trauma on top of the trauma you endured with Uncle Bob. And or somebody pulled you off the street and did you in the damn car, that sort of thing, and you ended up pregnant, you couldn't get rid of the possible sociopath offspring of a sociopath. And that's where we're at. And you wonder why there are no youngsters in this room. Regardless of what you feel about abortion, you can hate it to your core, but you've got to put provisions in there for that sort of thing and get your head out of your ass. And how about this? At the end of it, we had this little paper fill out. How did the presentators good 1 to 5 da 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 da. Down at the bottom said, "Who would you like to speak at our next get together?" And I said, "Citizens." That's all I put on there. And the cat who put on his shindig was from Harris County, which is Houston. When he picked mine up and looked at it, he looked over at me and give me a thumbs up. And I said, "How about y'all start talking to citizens and get out of that damn little bubble y'all live in? Maybe you'd get some shit right."
Well, PO'd, I'm going to disagree with you. I don't think the way to get rid of trauma is to add more trauma, because I would invite you to look up a certain person by the name of Rebecca Kiesling. She is a full-grown middle-aged woman. She is an attorney, and she was conceived in rape. And basically, people like you who say what you just said are saying that she does not deserve to live because her father was a criminal. So I think this is a little heavy for a Punchbowl Town Square Tuesday morning, but my head is nowhere near my ass, and I strongly disagree with you, sir.
Well, I agree with that. And like I said, your convictions should be what they are. They can be, and I'm right there with you, buddy. I mean, and I concur with her position on it. I really do. I really do. I'm just talking about the logical aspect of having votes cast for Republicans to clear out the swamp and get rid of all this other crap. Then we can address the other things. But like I said, your convictions, because I'm right there with you, buddy. I feel the same way. Do I think it's atrocious, the concept of that. But when you look at it logically and pragmatically, you almost have to put some kind of provision in there, even if it's a morning after pill and it's a specific date, time, what have you. But, you know, logic is logic, pragmatics is pragmatics, and that's where I was going with that, buddy. I mean, and like I said, I'm right there with you. My stomach hurts when I hear about these sort of things. And I'm a paramedic, and I have picked up young ladies who went and got an abortion and had all sorts of complications based on it. Basically, the abortion rendered them infertile, where they can't have kids, and that compounds the thing. But I get it, buddy. Did it just all of a sudden get quiet, or
No, Kevin's right. That's a rough one, PO'd, because I'm sitting here like chewing on about 18 different thoughts, related to this issue. The central thought I have, which I think is general enough for sort of early morning conversation, because it's still what, 8:30 Central Standard Time, is that how did this become such an issue? You know what I mean? You have to wonder, if you were to sort of look at the United States and ask yourself, what are the issues that are going to become central to our body politic? I have to wonder how this one specific issue has become so central to our discourse, as if every one of us leaves the house every morning and confronts it. You know what I mean? Like, every day I get up and I'm raped by my uncle, and I have to think like, what the hell's going on? Or someone I know is in this situation, or every woman I look at when I go to the grocery store is in some way or another at this moment actively tied to this issue. And that is what worries me. Like, is it an issue? You know, like when PO'd, you're like, I went to the meeting and I reminded them about these two exceptions. And I'm like, are those exceptions, is that good reasoning to be like, oh, we got to worry about this? Or is that like once again us focusing on something that numerically is really not part of the issue? And what I mean by that is, if you want to talk about this issue, you just have to look at Planned Parenthood. Like that's the large number of it. But what we do is focus on these tiny little bits of issue. And there has to be a way to just bust through it and realize where we all line up. I mean, I think Kevin and PO just sort of maybe lined up a little bit more than they thought. But the issue itself, how the hell did it become paramount in our conversation?
It's because it's so polarizing. It really is. It's polarizing, and I don't think there is an answer to that, because it depends on where your faith lies. It depends on where your heart lies, and it depends on where logic meets emotion. You know what I mean? And that right there is the stickler.
I would take it a step further and say this all started as a ploy by the left, because you have to go back and do a check of history. Norma McCorvey, aka Jane Roe from Roe v. Wade, was never raped. She filed a false rape allegation. She wanted an abortion in Texas. They said no. Then she said she was raped. Turns out she wasn't. And a bunch of lawyers and some lefties got together and said, let's make her our pawn. And they did. Fun fact, Norma McCorvey never had an abortion. She ended up having that child. But she became the face of a movement because it was coming in 1973. It was coming off of a time where they wanted to take the shame out of reckless sex. And what happens when you just go around loving everybody? Sometimes you get pregnant. So just I'll end it with this. Norma McCorvey, uh, before her life ended, uh, ended up finding Jesus, of all things, became pro life, and spent the last of her years trying to undo what was done in her name. So to this day, exceptions are thrown out there. Some of them are just a fraction of a percent of the reasons. If you go and look at Planned Parenthood's own statistics, it is like 99 point something percent of people have them for no reason at all. And this is according to their own statistics. The other thing about Planned Parenthood is, why is the U.S. government funding them? We have the Hyde Amendment, which says we our taxpayer dollars will not go to abortion. Well, we're funding them by the millions of dollars to keep their doors open, and they end up spending $45 million to the Democratic Party. I mean, so our tax dollars are being funneled through death mills to pay for people like Hillary Clinton. It is disgusting.
2 words: Margaret Sanger. You guys got to look her up. Everybody do your research. I mean, she founded Planned Parenthood, complete racist, and she was proud of it. And people just allowed this to happen. And I don't understand. I was just growing up during those years, and I don't understand today how the adults let that happen. I don't get it.
Yes, Margaret Sanger was a eugenist, which Bill Gates is also a eugenist, but she was a very racist eugenist who called people of color human weeds, and that was the start of her movement, and that's why all of the Planned Parenthoods all started in the Black community, because they wanted them to kill their children. And that is why today in New York, you have a child is more likely to be killed via abortion than to be born in New York City.
You know, I don't know how ancillary this is, but My own experience has taught me that all over America, unbeknownst to their parents, Planned Parenthood is fiddling with the hormone levels of our young ladies. That a young woman can walk into a Planned Parenthood and within seconds they've got her on a birth control that they're guessing is going to work, right? Like, here, take these, and we'll keep talking and see what they do. It's almost like they've got all of our boys on these SSRIs, and then every girl is going into a Planned Parenthood clinic and having her hormones scrambled by some schmuck who makes like minimum wage. And again, that's notice Kevin, Jane, or Roe, whoever this person was, she became the face of it so that people don't find out about Margaret Sanger, right? And they don't remember that our cultural conversation in the early 1900s was what happens when all these filthy Eastern Europeans and brown people outbreed us? Oh, we'll come up with a neat solution where we put these little clinics in all the cities and we'll keep the human weeds, right, knocked down.
Well, it's perfect because then the same people that do that hide behind their party platform of we're all for brown people and we're all about the supporting that community, and I don't get that because you're actually falling for a tactic that is nothing. There's no reality in that. Their actions speak way louder than their words.
Well, when you dumb education down and take away people's ability to think for themselves and see the forest for the trees, that's what you get, man. I think liberalism's a disease, man. And quite frankly, I have no clue what the cure is.
Well, certainly, some of their actions show the effect of a diseased mind. There is just no doubt about it for me. And I know I'm not being judgmental, and I'm not trying to be harmful about society. I'm just telling it like I think it is because I see it everywhere, and it's just becoming unbearable. And I think that's where the fight is between. That's why the dichotomy between these two groups of people, those that support that behavior, and not just like liberalism, it's the effects of liberalism. It's the effects of their thinking. The things that they implement to get to their goals are just wrong.
I put a lot of responsibility on the quote unquote pro life movement of the past 50 years. And everybody can say, oh, well, Roe v. Wade was overturned. Hurrah. Guess what? The big pro life organizations begging for your money every year, they're not responsible for it being overturned because they've danced around Roe v. Wade, calling it a law. That's the well. There's Roe v. Wade, so we gotta at least draft something that'll be acceptable because it's the law of the land. No, courts don't make laws. Roe v. Wade was a judicial opinion. They could have been legislating for 49 years to do something about it because it was not a law. It was an opinion that laws were being passed through, and it took them 49 years to say, "Oh, well, I think we got it wrong." But I'm gonna say it out here: national right to life was one of the worst. There would be abolitionist legislation in places like Oklahoma and Idaho, and they would make backroom deals to say, no, we'll just come up with we'll just scrap that and we'll put something in place that says if you do it by X number of weeks, then it's okay. And that's ageism. I mean, for anybody who's had children, who's watched their wife, get bigger and bigger, and then wait for that big day. Your child in that womb is no less human at 8 months than it is at 9. It's no less human and growing and active at 7 months as it is at 9. It's bigger. It's bigger when it comes out. It's not as funny looking, but it's still a human from the very beginning. So, these people throwing a dart at a calendar and saying, well, if you do it by this date, it's okay. That's ageism. And that's been plaguing this issue for years. If you do it by a certain date, or if a certain person does it and they do it at a certain facility by a certain time, and you have an ultrasound first, or you got to wait 24 hours, it's just jumping through hoops to get to the same end.
Yeah, the day my firstborn was born became the single most badass event in my life. And when something else badass happens, I compare it to that to see where it falls on the scale of badass. I get it, man. That is the single greatest thing is being a dad, but being a dad of a daughter sucks. I'm just going to throw that out there because, man, they're hard to handle. You find out how big a hypocrite you really are, that sort of thing. But yeah, it's another thing I bring out. I think we can all agree that money drives pretty much all legislation in the end. So, if they found an answer to this particular problem, would not the argument money kind of stop? So, throw that in here.
I'm going to have to disagree with you again, P.O. Damn it. My daughter was the easiest of 3.
Enlighten me, brother.
My daughter was my firstborn child, and she never gave me the problems my boys did growing up, the boys' things. Just never seemed to have any problems with her. She had a good head on her shoulders, and never gave me a day's trouble.
Oh, that's not the point I was making, buddy. That's the point I was making, where I had to tell the little bows that come over and take her out on a date that, you remember that little girl right there that weighs 100 pounds, casts a 200-pound shadow, looks just like me.
Well, if you were anything like me, you didn't have that worry because everybody knew who I was.
True that, but you had to get there at one point.
Why do I feel like all I really want is to live in a society where people like Kamala Harris and Nancy Pelosi make these broad statements on abortion? They should be shunned, but they're in positions of leadership. And I think that's where we have to focus on why that is happening, and maybe fix that problem. And once that problem's fixed, maybe everything else just kind of falls into
Don't we
place.
kind of need to look at ourselves then, because we've voted and put them people there?
Well, that's why I mentioned the dichotomy between the two kinds of people. I mean, there really are, you know, if you look at it just from a moral standpoint, there's moral people and there's immoral people, and that's just the way it is. And I think when you start looking at some of these policies people make and the things that people say and they support, I think it just gets down to is it morally right?
Hey, Magna, pardon me real quick. We got a seriously hot mic on Night Owl. If somebody could mute her.
Got it. Al, go ahead and jump in, brother.
So, this is a very controversial topic and pretty deep for Punchbowl. I just, you know, I think there's a lot of variables that need to be looked at. I'm Roman Catholic and I have my beliefs, but I think, other opinions are welcomed as well. I think the main thing we need to do right now is protect the children that we have. Um, and that starts in the homes, right? So you got to teach your kids what's right and wrong, that there are good and bad people out there that come in all shapes and sizes, and you know, take some of this money that that our current administration is sending over to the Ukraine and put that against to protect the children all over the world. Let's do something. Everybody, I'm sure, has probably seen Some Freedom by now, and if you haven't, I suggest you go out and see that movie. But you're dealing with right now, and that's reality. And something needs to be done about it, because most of the politicians are corrupt, and I think a lot of the stuff that they even agree with or go along with, some of them don't even have any clue of what they're signing for. But yeah, there's a lot of issues. Abortion is, obviously a huge topic. And the other thing I'd say, the woman is the one who has to really bear the fruit, right, of that whole thing. And there's a lot of feelings and emotions that come into it, and there's different situations and variables. Like I said, you can't just make one general rule, because there's always going to be exceptions to that rule, and that's with anything, right? So, I have. I just say, let's protect the children that we have. Let's focus on that, and taking them away from all these deviant people, and the criminals that are out there, pedophiles and things like that. I'll end my plane.
We're kind of on this subject because Ohio is they're actually trying to fix that from happening. I mean, they've got about 4 or 5 counties that actually make the votes. So that's where we're at right now with this subject. But
Well, and oddly, Bishop, the issue in Ohio is, how easy is it to change your state constitution? I can't remember who, somebody bumped up earlier from Ohio, right, and was working the polls or something, and she said, oddly, Ohio is a lot like California, where with a simple referendum, you can change the state constitution. Today's vote is trying to make it more difficult to change the state constitution, because they know there's a ballot measure coming soon where the left in Ohio is going to try to put abortion access right into the state constitution, which, gee, gad, even if you're in favor of that, that just seems horrific to have that language in your state constitution.
I mean, if you can't, I mean, that's what got people out to vote for midterm here in Michigan was it was Title 3 or item 3, and that was all about it. It was about women's health and the right to do what they want to do with their own bodies. And it's just shocking that how the politicians, man. I mean, who went to Ohio and said, okay, this is what you guys are going to do. Step
There's a
1, step 2, step 3, step 5. Get this done.
there's usually an organization behind it who knows how to do this, and you saw it not only in Michigan, Bishop, you saw it in Kansas, and that's when I started worrying, because Morning Joe read the vote in Kansas as a nationwide move away from conservatism. And what somebody's figured out is they can write these bizarre statewide referendums that a normal person cannot understand. I mean, anybody who's been to the ballot box recently and read a ballot measure, you knew at the end of it, you were like turning to your wife or someone saying, what the fuck does it mean if I vote yes on this? Like, what does it mean if I vote no? Abortion advocates have written these gorgeous little uh, ballot measures where they confuse you, and they can get people who are opposed to their measure to vote for it because the way they word it. Like, they've paid somebody huge money to write these ballot measures. And the folks in Ohio today, I think this is a very smart move, right? Which is, we're gonna get ahead of you. We're not gonna fall for any of these bizarre ballot measure initiatives you guys are putting forward.
I think it was Manatee earlier, by the way. It came up. She didn't have much time to talk. She said she was cold. She was freezing, so she had to go back home and get a Coke. John Fisher.
Good morning, Bishop. Good morning, Jeff. Good morning, everybody. And I've got a little time to talk. You want to hear my talk? A great topic here. Voter referendum. It's part of the reason, part of my campaign platform for why I am running for office here locally in Palm Beach County. In the last election, they had a voter referendum on the ballot for workforce housing. $200 million for workforce housing. Sounded great, looked great, and everybody voted for it. Not everybody, but the majority voted for it. And what's worked into that, when I just recently watched a budget workshop meeting at our county level, and they talked about staff presented the workforce housing voter referendum project, which included the word forgiveness. And what that means is, like, those applicants that apply for a mortgage through this $200 million grant, that's what it is, a grant that the citizens the taxpayers are paying for. If one of these applicants defaults on their loan somewhere down the road, the word forgiveness pops into the equation. They're forgiven. And what does that mean? The taxpayer eats it. But the taxpayer didn't know that when they voted for it. It wasn't worked into the verbiage to which Samuel alluded to earlier, that these complicated verbiage, you'd have to spend like an hour reading through all this crap as you're standing there ready to pull that lever and vote for it. So it's a problem. It's a huge problem, and it's far stretched throughout the land there as far as all these voter referendum votes or election ballot initiatives. So something to think about. Great topic, though. Thank you.
The best moment in these, because I think the right actually started this in 2008. Somebody in California wanted to ban gay marriage, and they realized that there was a certain electorate coming out to vote for Barack Obama. But this Barack Obama electorate, these people would also vote against gay marriage. And they got a proposition on the statewide ballot in California in 2008 called Proposition 8 to ban gay marriage, and it passed. The same people who stepped up to the plate to vote for Obama passed Proposition 8 in California, and there was like you heard a shriek throughout the universe. And then everybody starts scrambling. They're like, make sure that no one knows that Obama's voters also voted against gay marriage, or people might realize they agree on way more than they thought. But this trickery has been around. It's just sort of bubbled up in the last 2 decades.
Well, I think we have to recognize the fact that, I mean, we've got data proving that people simply aren't as educated as they'd like to believe they are. And I think plain speech in law and maybe forcing them to do examples of, like you said,
Anybody talking?
Oh,
Yes,
I'm sorry.
John.
Okay, I'll drop down.
Yeah, so I think we have proof. I mean, we can look at statistics showing that graduating students today, or they're 30% of them can't read or write at grade level, but they're graduating anyway. I mean, those things make no sense to keep a society that does that and then keep writing laws that no one understands and continues to vote for. So I think that's a fix, is to address it that way.
Well, they dumb down the tests and stuff like that to make their passing numbers look better. That's one of the things that's happening, because it all translates again back to money. It's about money.
Go ahead, John. We don't need a hand, buddy.
Sorry, it's gotten to be a habit. Yeah, dumbing down tests. That reminds me of there's an interesting interview with Thomas Sowell. He's an African American scholar, and he actually wasn't an interview. He was a congressional hearing, and it was about the entrance into Harvard, and they were making it easier for the minorities to get into to Harvard, as well as other universities too, and which the Supreme Court just struck down affirmative action. And so he was saying that they were making it easier for African Americans as well as minorities to get into Harvard, but when they got in, Harvard didn't lower its scholastic standards, and so that they were basically making it easier for them to get in, but then they would fail them out. So it was making it easier for them to fail, so to speak. So it was like a double entendre, catch-22, and it was actually setting them up for failure. So I just wanted to throw that into the mix as a comparative.
Yeah, wasn't there a case years ago? Actually, I believe it was in New York, where uh, in the firefighting community, to move up in rank, that sort of thing, you had to test out. Well, what they did is they had some quote unquote minorities moved up past the white folks that took the challenge the same test because of I guess you'd call it diversity even way back then, and that group filed a, a court case against them and actually won that they got to move up in rank. And then after that, the New York dumbed down the tests, but that didn't change the fact. Yeah, they passed the test, but these other folks did a better job. And that's not saying it's all of them. Don't get me wrong, but I mean it has been challenged, and I think it took place in New York. Am I right?
I I could I can only address the fact that affirmative action, that's the end effect of affirmative action, is setting up people to fail. People need, if you can't do something based on merit, then there's no point in doing it. So, making decisions based simply on skin color makes absolutely no sense to anybody, I would believe. But, that we live in this world that people just continue to have these beliefs that make no sense.
Well, in all fairness, in my particular geographic area, there's a bunch of really, really, really dumb white folk too. So I mean, it's got nothing to do with skin color. It just comes down to whether or not your head is working very well and whether your capacity to learn is there, and that's got nothing to do with skin color. It just depends on what your priorities
Exactly,
are. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, it's all merit, right? It should be all merit, at least. That's how I see it.
That's why I like to randomly quote Martin Luther King in conversation sometimes, just to see if somebody will call me a racist. Anybody here over the age of 40 remembers that you were raised not to make any
Racist.
assumptions based exactly, not to make any assumptions
Racist.
based on exactly on someone's skin color. And now, if you say that, Stephen Colbert actually was the person who single handedly on the Colbert Report disallowed us from saying, I don't use skin color to base my ideas. Remember, he would always say, "Oh, well, I'm colorblind," and he would make a joke about it, like, I don't see race," and he was bagging on Bill Riley, and that has been one of his taglines. And in 2 short decades, maybe a little bit more, they've completely swung us all the way around. Where if you don't pay attention to someone's skin color, you're a racist. Anybody been to DC lately and seen the Martin Luther King Memorial that they paid a Korean to build? It's out of nowhere. This character you've known all your life for saying things like, I had a dream and all these other great phrases. They build this giant Soviet looking statue of Martin Luther King right on the National Mall. And then they write on it, "Call me a drum major for peace." I'm like, where did he even say that? And I
Super
knew then.
racism detected.
It, super. I know. I'm the worst kind of racist. But if you want to have some fun today, just randomly paraphrase Martin Luther King Jr. in a conversation about race and see how quick you get condemned.
Yeah, that man would be turning over in his grave if he knew what was going on right now. I mean, I've listened to MLK's speeches. I had great respect for the man. I mean, I cannot recall one time where he singled out a white man or a black man. He's just always all men. And a lot of people don't get that, you know.
Hey guys, I'm in Ohio myself, and my youngest, I just moved schools. We moved, and he had such a horrible time his junior year last year that he wanted to homeschool this year. He said there's kids, they lay on the floor and sleep through the classes. They're disrespectful. and disruptive in the classroom when they are awake. And I think these conversations are great. And at some point, I'd like to see them turn to, some action about, organizing locally and getting involved and putting our money where it belongs and putting our attention where it belongs, fixing the family unit, getting both parents, active in their children's lives and also active in their education. Because dumbing us down, but they got away with taking um, uh, you know cursive out of schools. So what? In 10 years, it's going to be like us reading hieroglyphs, right? And they're just and what is our Constitution written in? So I think these are all, really strong points that, we need to look at in the future to protect our future and protect our children's futures. Anyways, that's all I had to say. Good morning. And thank you.
Yeah, taking Jesus out of school didn't help much either. Let's see where that's got us. But I was fortunate enough to grow up in a demographic where race was never an issue, not in my lifetime. I mean, uh, hell, down here in South Texas, we date, we marry, we have children, we work together, we tailgate at sporting events, we go fishing. This one of my closest friends, when I was working offshore, I call him up, say, "Hey, my bride's got this problem at the house," and he's there in a heartbeat. I mean, it's crazy how that works, that, and it's about your environment where you're at and what you've been taught. And I mean, hell, when I was in school, I had a 30/30 in the back glass of my truck, and it wasn't locked. You can't do that now.
I think if anybody wants permission, I think I can grant everyone in this conversation permission to be sort of mildly puzzled about this moment, because I for sure think it's safe to say that this moment is like few other moments in history, and everything is changing. There have been few moments in history where technology changed so rapidly, where culture changed so rapidly, where people ran into each other, great chunks of people ran into each other so rapidly. And that right now, most of the conversations we have in the town square deal with that, right? Like, what is with all this chaos? And it's because everything is being reordered.
Well, not in my little neck of the woods, man. Everything's kind of the same way it was 2, 3 years ago. So, and that's by choice.
Well, I think we're being kept busy, with the hatred, pitting groups against one another is just, another way to conquer. And in this case, I'm sorry, pardon me. And in this case, they're conquering a country. And so if we're not conscious of the weapons that they're using against us, which right now is a lot of hatred, it's very hard to battle, you know? And it's easy to get caught up in, don't you think? To get caught up in the hatred and um, the disrespecting one another and getting angry, at people. And if we took the problem out, which is, our government, then turned to these issues of hatred, I think they would dissipate on their own.
It's called distraction, and they've got one hell of a playbook, and it works very well.
Well, what she's describing is called fifth generation warfare. You can look it up and read about it. It's certainly happening to us today. We are moving into that evolution, like somebody mentioned a moment ago about our, the expansion of technology and the use of social media, for example, in the last few years, our society is moving into what's called fifth generation warfare, and for people to get their kudos and win their arguments to change a society, they're simply using technology to do it.
So what? I need Chad's address so I can Uber him a big glass of water with a Tylenol. But have we identified the language of what is a mega extremist? You know what I mean? They're using that. They're using that.
Wait, Bishop, I was just on
Chad,
a call. What'd you say?
Chad,
What?
Chad. How you feeling? How you feeling
I'm
today?
fucking pumped, man. I got the Republican guy that's probably going to take down Adam Schiff coming on my show today, and I'm going to get to punk Mr. Bug-Eye all for an hour. It's like,
Oh, is that Bradley? Is it
yeah, Bradley's
Bradley?
coming on, and I just got off the phone with him. I said, "Don't be a pussy. If you're a pussy, I'm going to cut you off, and I'm going to go to videos." And he just started laughing. He's like, "Man, this is the most exciting interview I've ever done in my life.
We
I'm scared to death at the same
I,
time."
yeah, I'm pretty sure we've had him in the punch. I like it. He follows me. That was pretty awesome. What's a mega extremist, Chad? What does that mix? What's that? We put that in a bowl and we stir it around. What's in that? What's a mega extremist? That was for you, Chad.
What is a MAGA extremist? Is that what you said?
That's what he said.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What's a MAGA extremist?
Oh, hang on. I've got it written down. Wait a minute. Hang on. I got this. I've been
He
waiting.
probably does.
I will say you could identify that in terms of both sides have, you know, extreme, both the left and the right have extremists, and the people MAGA would simply indicate that they're into that "Make America Great Again" movement, and but are willing to go to any length, and anybody willing to go to any length to get their goal is an extremist. Now,
No, it's
I
not.
don't know that those people actually exist. I mean, maybe there are a handful of them somewhere, but most people seem fairly normal in their requests for things that they want.
MAGA. MAGA.
Yeah.
The simple answer is you are a MAGA extremist. I am
Well,
a
right,
MAGA
right, and
extremist.
that's how the left is using that terminology. That's
Anybody who's
correct.
not a full blown snowflake. If you disagree with
May
one
I?
talking point, you're a MAGA extremist. Go ahead, Chad.
Read it, Chad.
Yeah. This is the actual definition of a MAGA extremist. I do not choose to be a common man. It is my right to be uncommon. If I can seek opportunity, not security, I want to take the calculated risk to dream and to build, to fail and to succeed. I refuse to barter incentive for dole. I prefer the challenges of life to guaranteed security, the thrill of fulfillment to the state calm of utopia. I will not trade freedom for beneficence, nor my dignity for a handout. I will never cower before any master save my God. It is my heritage to stand erect, proud, and unafraid, to think and act for myself, enjoy the benefit of my creations, to face the whole world boldly and say, I am a free American. That is a MAGA extremist, which that happens to be the South Carolina Republican creed. And the idea of MAGA extremists is a great word to use for the left because they are legitimately scared shitless of us actually being a base Republican Party and that what Republican Party is supposed to stand for. Anything to the right of that can be considered extreme by other morons, but technically, how can you get any further right than what is our creed? If we followed the creed, we wouldn't be calling Lindsey Graham Lady G and McCarthy McPussy. The old concept of what we're supposed to stand for is exactly what we demand out of our representation. And anything other than that makes us one of those people that, well, they look as extreme because we are okay with uncomfortable. We give two fucks what they think. That's the beauty of being a fucking American. There you go.
Yeah, I because someone brought up the word hate. So, there's the breakdown. What's the definition of the Democrats' uh, interpretation of mega extremists, and then you've given our side of the mega extremist.
Yeah, real quick, let me
I
give you
love that
some context.
definition. Did you say that was a South Carolina cream?
That is the South Carolina Republican Creed, yes.
Thank you. I will look that up. I really did like that.
Just for some quick context, I'll give you under federal law. I'm reading from whitehouse.gov. Under federal law, and because notice MAGA extremist is a version of domestic terrorist, domestic violent extremist, and they define domestic terrorism as quote activities that involve acts dangerous to human life that are a violation of the criminal laws of the United States or of any state. And then listen to this clause appear to be intended to intimidate or coerce a civilian population to influence the policy of a government by intimidation or coercion, or to affect the conduct of a government by mass destruction, assassination, or kidnapping, and occur primarily. The language there, Bishop, when you ask what's a MAGA extremist, it's a cute euphemism for domestic violent extremist, which has a law that's attached to it, so that even this conversation you see could appear to be intended to intimidate or coerce a civilian population. That clause alone, they could like swing in here and round us all up.
Sounds like BLM to me.
Doesn't that make every politician a MAGA extremist? Sorry.
Sound like a Democrat to me.
Yep, BLM all the way. PO, you're up, buddy.
Yeah, my definition of MAGA extremist is leave me the hell alone. Let me live my life my way. Stay out of my face. Let me love my God. Let me love my country. Let me love my flag. Just go away. Don't go away angry. Just go away.
MPO, I just saw your message. Sorry, I responded.
Steph, good morning.
Good morning, everybody. I just wanted to tell you that I have Bannon's War Room on, and he put up your website in the first segment. I didn't catch the article, but it was Punchbowl TM was up on his website, and he was talking about it for a little bit. I think that's pretty damn cool.
It probably wasn't us. It was probably the news outlet Punchbowl. We are the Punchbowl.space.
Oh.
This has happened
dang.
before. I just want to make that clear, especially since we're on Rumble. We shout out to that company that operates, that does put out news articles. I hope they're doing well. Shout out to Bannon and all them, but don't want to take credit for the work that they're doing.
Okay, well, it looked just like your site, so I would check it out just in case, but thanks. Have a good day, guys.
It would be Punchbowl News, I think, actually, would be the main one. Tap, that'd be pretty fantastic if he had our website up on his thing, though, wouldn't it?
Not really. It would be like trying to sell Cadillacs and seeing someone with holes in their pants and whatnot driving one around the town and having the only one. It would degrade the brand.
Tap, you're a mess.
Good morning. I mean, dude's cool. He just needs to shower occasionally.
Wait a second. Anybody's show who starts with a rap song made by a Chinese billionaire who's wandering around his unaffordable yacht stroking his strange supervillain cat? I'd urge everyone in the town square, just go watch the friggin' bumper for Steve's show and ask yourself, what in the fuck is going on in this show? Why is a Chinese billionaire serenading me while he strokes a cat?
Look, I mean, they're doing good work. He's doing work that I'm not willing to do. I'm not willing to take that risk. So shout out to Steve Bannon. And I wish
the cat looks healthy and happy. I agree.
Oh, dude. Like, yeah, I mean, let's face it. No matter how evil you are, no matter how many mistakes you make, the cat is in charge. So even if you go to raise that hand, as soon as you go to raise that hand, scratch, 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 you're like, ow! No matter how badass you are.
We've already been through this. Cats suck. Why are we talking about cats again?
Cats will save America, Chad. And as soon as you learn to align with cats, then the Republican Party will unlock the power of the feline, and we will restore America.
Angela, jump in.
I,
No,
I have a
it's
cat,
a little
and I
white
call bullshit.
it's a little white foo-foo dog. Sorry, it's a little white foo-foo dog, not a cat.
So when you guys were talking earlier, conversation ago, about extremism, I was back here snorting, saying they've created a new class of extremism when they involved money and bribes. I'll just put it there.
Chad, why do you hate cats? Let's go back to that.
Cats want to fucking kill you. If they were big enough, they would eat your face off. Dogs are here. If you spell dog backwards, it's God. Cats backwards is tack. That shit hurts.
All right, guys, I gotta be honest. If you take a look at the Punchbowl.space, you'll see the website looks completely different compared to last week. I say that I wrote all that code. It was Creamsicle. It was my cat. I basically just helped her like figure some stuff out on the computer, but that was all her with ChatGPT while I'm working during the day.
Your cat lives in a garage with a window air conditioner. It has no computer. We know better. Tap.
No, there's computers out there.
Why do you have computers in your garage? Never mind, Tap. Forget
For
it.
the cat, Chad. The cat has a better computer than every one of us.
You guys can ask the team. At one point, I had 3 computers out there for Punchbowl for stuff I'm doing behind the scenes, like for the data collection and whatnot. And yeah, everything's in the cloud now, but it was intense for a while. I have a 8-foot wide, basically monitor wall that's about 6 feet tall. That's on 4 10-inch casters that I can move around my garage, and I can plug that in, and that's got a 50-inch TV and at least 4 other monitors on it. And I basically use that for different projects and whatnot that I'm doing.
I bet Chad's dog isn't writing any code. Just saying.
And at one point, I actually
No,
had
Kevin, because
a
my
server
dog's out
rack
here
in there
watching
as
the front
well.
of my house ready to eat somebody's ass. He's a man, not a bitch.
I just hope he's on a leash
No,
because
he all his commands are in German.
Hey, Tap, I got to push back on you on the holy jeans. I just spent $50 a pair for like 2 or 3 pairs for my granddaughter for school, and there's more holes than material.
Oh man, that's rough.
Well, that's the summer line. It's hot.
Hey, I'm an eyewitness that Tap's cat is smart enough to write code. In fact, we had a scientific experiment last night that proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that the earth is round. Because if it was flat, the cats would have knocked everything over, just like it did his camera.
Oh, he signed off, man. He didn't knock it over. He signed off.
Yeah, I'm not kidding. Like, she, in one swift move, she managed to stop the live stream camera on Discord and walk off the scene stage right at the same time. She's like, "And I'm out. Cut the feed."
With the drop.
And the looks in her eyes when she did it too. We all just sat down and we were quiet. That was it.
It was a drop the mic moment.
Yeah, and apparently she started sassing me when I start going off on rants in either Spaces or Discord, because they'll be like, "And that's why that's not a power of the federal government," and she's like, "Meow." I'm like, "Yeah."
Tap's cat is a MAGA extremist.
Some sort of play on Mew for that. Meow is no, a Meowga extremist.
Cats are dumb. Kevin, I'm sorry I got loud. Diesel's just badass.
My cats are dumb. I like them, but they're dumb. You're right.
Thank you for that.
Diesel for the name of a dog is badass, period.
Agreed. And it's because he's cock diesel. He's just a big muscle. 80 pounds of little muscle pit bull. He's badass.
I concur with that. My wife's hairdresser has a Doberman that they keep at the salon to wander around named Diesel, and he's badass.
My Mastiff was named Diesel. Pitch.
All right, I got to do it. It's sad. There is no such thing as a pit bull. Somebody can come fight me about this. They're Staffordshire Terriers, especially if you have the low slung one. I don't know if Diesel's taller or if he's the low slung guy, right? There's like American Bulldogs, and then there's the Staffordshire Terrier, which does not sound gangster enough, right? Like you can't, if you live in Atlanta, you can't sell, hey, get these really vicious Staffordshire Terriers. So they call them bullies or, pitties or whatever. But no, it's like pit bull means I throw my bulldog in a pit to fight other dogs because I'm Michael Vick or some shit like that. But those dogs, and thank God, I hope he is leashed because my favorite video on the internet right now is where these like progressive folks go out and adopt these these Staffordshire Terriers that are killing machines. And then they're like at a coffee shop and they forget about the dog next to them and it runs across the porch and picks up somebody's Yorkie and just eats it while the whole coffee shop watches.
Those are dogs that aren't trained. Diesel's very, very well trained. I live in a gated community, so he knows everybody on the street. He won't go into the street. I've had people will go up to the door and he barks because I want him to bark if somebody touches the door. But then, my UPS guy is a black guy that comes by all the time, and he always has a treat in his pocket, and he knows Diesel lays out in the front yard. People ride by on their bikes. They know who he is. He's well trained. And I had a Cane Corso named Buster that you see in the pictures in my shows on the wall. He died, but he taught Diesel, and Diesel there's a word I can say and he'll eat that ass. But other than that, he's just the biggest lover. If you look at all the pictures, he's all about love. And the Staffordshire, they're all about love. Back in the 50s, they called them babysitter dogs because they would protect the babies while they go get milk or whatever at the bodegas, and the rich people had the Staffordshire protect their kids. So they're great dogs. They have that bully frame of mind, though. You have to break them because they are alphas, and you have to let them know that you're the alpha. You're in charge of that pack. And once you break through that, they'll do anything. They will kill themselves for you. But he's honestly a big bitch. He just looks badass. He hates trash bags. That's something too. I don't know what that's about. It drives me nuts.
I think we're doing the good work to bring cat people and dog people together here in the town square this morning. I'm always
That's
interested.
stupid, Samuel. What part of they would kill you if they could? Like, think about that. That's why you have videos of them knocking shit over. They don't care. They don't love. They may want you to scratch their ass or something, but they have no real enduring quality. They want to kill you if they could. They can't, but they would if they could.
They're a reminder of chaos, Chad, and it's an important one. Because I have a cat in my house, like I think everybody should, and I have a couple of dogs in my house, and like your dog, they do what the hell I tell them, or I get irritated, and they understand that they're like a symbol of order, right? Like dogs are about like man's intent to like put order on the universe. The cat, I think, as the Egyptians would remind us, are a never-ending reminder of chaos, right? I'm just going to knock this off the counter. I'm going to do that. I'm going to go into the other room at high speed. I think they're important to remind us of like the chaos of the universe. I especially like it when they scratch children because like the cat is the first thing that teaches a kid like you can't just fucking touch whatever you want, idiot. I may be small and furry, but I'll rip you apart.
Okay, you make a good argument there. But cats suck. As a fireman, how many times I got called to get somebody's cat out of the tree? And you know what we say to them? Have you ever seen a dead cat in a tree? And then we get back in our truck and go.
That would have made a shitty episode of Mayberry RFD, right? Like the fireman shows up and he's like, You assholes. It'll come down eventually.
Dude, I was on the rescue ladder company. I'm telling you, dude, they would stop by. Will you come get our kitten? We just got a kitten. It's up in a tree, and we just sit there, look at these dumb people, and be like, fine. And then we drive down there because we always have to make sure there's a safety issue or whatever. It's really dumb protocol, but I would say your cat is in the tree because it doesn't want to be around you, and basically it's yelling at you, telling you to go away. And when you all go in the house, that cat's going to work its way down the tree. You've never seen a dead cat laying in a tree. We're not going to send a guy up in the ladder, get his ass ripped apart because he's trying to take a cat away from where he's trying to go, which is away from you. Thank you. Have a nice day. Can you sign right here that we came out?
Makes you want to call Tackleberry. He had a great solution for that.
Wasn't it a 357?
Well, it was a Cannon long barrel. That's all I can tell you about it.
Hoorah.
Did we just start shooting cats out of trees in the town square?
Not as easy as it looks.
Disavow. Only,
Now I'm laughing.
only metaphorically. Only metaphorically.
Again, please note that when the cat goes up in the tree, every moron in the neighborhood stands under the tree and stares at it, and the cat is creating chaos. It's reminding us of how idiotic we are. I can remember the last time I came out of my house and I see all these people staring at a random oak tree, and then you look up and there's the damn cat, like sitting in the first crux of branch, right? And they're all just staring at it. And then the more people are staring at the cat, what happens? More people come out of their houses, stare at the cat, right? And notice even in the TV shows, when the firemen get there, half the fucking neighborhood standing under the tree staring at the cat. And the cat's just hanging out. Like, I don't know what you idiots are doing, but it's an important reminder of just how stupid we all are.
You nail it. That's exactly why we don't go up in the tree and get the stupid thing.
I got a different angle from that one.
What could broccoli have anything to know about cats? Cats are scared to death of broccoli.
I know it's great. I don't have to deal with them. But
What just happened? Did the broccoli drop his phone?
I think he went downstream. Because I don't know about the rest of you, but I've got to pee already just listening to that water.
just like half my meetings, I was talking on mute.
Oh, that's fun.
And he's doing it again.
Oh, I wasn't going to say it again, even though you guys never heard it.
I've done a space in the shower. It was weird.
The shower is fine, just the eating. I don't care if somebody wants to shower or like go to the bathroom while they're in a space. The eating, I think we should today start an organization to make people stop eating in spaces.
1000%.
Or
Sign me.
at least stop eating while their freaking mic is open.
I think I go into that Tech Daily right after this space here. And right towards the end, when he starts to cover the articles, he is smacking. I'm like, damn, I can't stay. I'd leave. If he only knew how destructive that is.
There's more than 2 to 3 town square regulars who show up with like a bucket of hummus or yogurt. I don't know what the hell it is, but they clearly have like the big spoon, not the normal spoon, but they're the asshole that gets the bigger spoon out of the drawer, right? That like hits your teeth when you shove the hummus in your face. And then they just talk through all that hummus.
Sounds like, yeah, they got a bag of Play-Doh in their mouth.
No, the worst is when it sounds like you're eating trail mix.
Crunch with slaps. You're right.
Or the ones that think they're a squirrel and pack it in their cheek in the middle of eating and then try and talk like we can't tell their cheek's full of peanuts.
The cover-up is always worse than the crime.
Chad, what's some of the questions you asked Bradley? It's Robert, right? Robert or James?
What? Bradley. Oh, James Bradley. I'm asking stuff, you know. I'm going after shit.
Ooh, stuff.
Yeah, it's gonna be shit. Like I'm going for Schiff's throat. I mean, and here's the thing, I'm gonna vet him in the show. You know, I'm gonna find out if he's got the spine to handle a evil piece of shit like Adam Schiff. And you know, I want to try to get something viral because that's going against a guy that he made $23 million after he was censured. You know, just because Democrats are disgusting. And when he was censured on the House floor, he made $23 million, and we made him a bunch of money. So people that are going to run against him in California, they're going to have to overcome that. And the only way to do that is to get viral somehow. And the only way people get viral is when they get real and step out of their political, you know, circle. So I'm going to try to get him out of his comfort zone and get him to get real, and we'll go from there. The questions are going to be dictatorial. You know me, Bishop. I don't write my show, so nobody else writes my show. It's raw, and I'm going to see where he goes. And if it's gay, I'll tell him take it easy, and we'll go on something else. If it's great, then we'll keep going.
Chad, give us a little bit of backstory. I'm sure everybody in the town square hates Adam Schiff as much as I do, or at least he's disturbing. Give us a quick bit. Is this guy running for Senate against Adam?
Yeah, with Adam Schiff going to he's of course he's running for Senate, and that's how our government works now. The bigger piece of shit you are, you get a raise. So apparently he's like, yeah, it's my chance, you know, with Feinstein and everything, gonna be the next senator. There's nobody in the Democratic Party I think is running against him in the primary right now. There's one establishment guy that ran for Attorney General of California that's a Republican that's running. He pissed a lot of Californians off. They're polling about the same as far as the non-establishment candidates. James Bradley is definitely the top of that list right now. And he also ran against Feinstein in 2018. So he's not even overtly wealthy. He's not a Silicon guy. He has been in healthcare years as a CEO of a healthcare conglomerate. But he's. I asked him if he had military career, and he said Coast Guard. But you know, it's not really military.
Is he a rhino
Whatever.
or is he actual constitutional conservative?
That's what we're gonna find out. PO. You know that
He says he's constitutional conservative, but yes, we'll find out.
Yeah, I always do a pre-interview, so but I don't really ask questions like that because I want them to be raw on my show. My show has been canceled a ton because of that rawness, and it's uncensored, it's real, and we're gonna go at it. You know, yesterday I went at QAnon, QAnon, Q everybody, whatever, and I called them out, and you know I've been getting hate mail all day. It's really funny to read. That's why I missed your DM PO'd. I got so many from yesterday's show, and at the same time, we have to get real. And if I did an entire interview and I already knew these, I have a feeling he's pretty constitutional. I've done some research on him, but I'm going to push him on a few things and see where he really lines up, because that's where I think makes for a good show. If it's all canned, it's gay. It's like Hannity or anybody else, and that's not what we do. I've had people that I've interviewed that are Republicans that have closed their laptop and left the show because they didn't like the line of questioning. If you want to live in a vacuum chamber, then you deserve what you get, and that's not what we do. And I'm fired up.
Hey, another thing you need to ask him, just to put something in your jar if you don't already have this question. Do you think it's right for a sitting U.S. or state public official to abstain from any vote?
Great question. Will you do me a favor, bro, and message me that in DM, and I will print that out and make sure I ask him, and I'll even give you credit on the show because that's a fantastic question.
And can you let us know? Like you said, you can it if it goes wrong or goes wrong direction. When would this show air?
It's live every day at 2:00.
And what day is said interview with Bradley?
Today.
And is that 2 p.m. Eastern? I got to figure out the whole lay of the land.
Sorry. Yeah, it's Eastern. 11:00 California time, and then you figure out all you other people in the middle.
Chad, do the whole promo all at once, because I bet you'll get more than a couple of listeners out of this crowd.
You mean the promo for today's show?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Yeah, we're bringing on James Bradley, who is a candidate running on the Republican primary to run against Adam Schiff, who's obviously going to be the Democratic nominee for Feinstein's seat, as she's not. I mean, I don't think she's really alive technically. So we're going to have him on. I'm going to vet him. He considers himself a constitutional conservative. He was a Coast Guardie, served. He's been in the healthcare industry for a long time, and he actually told me a story that he got involved the first time in 2018 because he was sitting there watching the news and he thought he was home alone, and his brother-in-law walked in and he was yelling at the TV and he's like, "What are you doing?" His brother, and he said they kind of got in an argument about what they were fighting, him yelling at the TV about shitbag Democrats, and he's like, "Why don't you run?" And it was kind of a brother, you know, testing him, and he's like, "Are you calling me out that I won't run?" He's like, "Yeah, I am." So he ran, and he's been involved in the game, big on GOP. He's trying to take over the GOP on the local level, and fix the GOP. Has some really good insight on the GOP as to the different factions, be it, the establishment, the rhinos, they're actually different factions, especially in California. And we're going to talk on the power that California is. I still believe that Trump won California, frankly, from all of the people we have out there.
And we recalled Gavin, but gosh, they wouldn't be able to put a recalled governor up for president now, would they?
No, that would never be cool. And he wants to talk about that fight in California. That California is bleeding in it, and it's happening because of liberal policies. So we're going to go at him. I'm going to challenge him on what makes him a constitutional conservative. We're going to challenge him on the usual litmus test that dictates what is constitutional, what's not. And I feel that from my research, he's going to do well, but he also is, in our pre-interview, he's very candid. He doesn't seem to have a ton of fear, which you all know we have to get used to uncomfortable. So we're going to start doing this a lot, and looking for these candidates. We're actually looking at starting a new show on Red Voice called Rhino Hunter, and we're going to look for you out there in the community to show us real rhinos in your area, and then we're going to put their profile up and we're going to call them out. I'm going to sell rhino hunting licenses so that you can have one in your wallet. And we're going to start going after these punks, man. We've got to make them uncomfortable. And I have on my local show for my state, I do Tool of the Week, and I have multiple senators that have the Tool of the Week certificate on their wall. And the Tool of the Year, Luke Rankin, we actually had a designer build it, and I brought it to his office. And that's the way we got.
Sorry, Chad. So what about, so an example I keep thinking of is a lady named Tina Forte, and she was supposed to be running against AOC. Is that correct? Was that her?
Yeah, New York. Yep.
And she didn't get any funding, right? So she didn't get any backing. So I think that'd be a great question if I don't know how you word that.
I asked him, we talk about campaign finance, and I'll call him straight out. You're not an establishment. The establishment game is based on PACs and money.
Right.
You know that Schiff's got 23 million. How are you going to fund your campaign?
She's an interesting example, Bishop. I know her too. Tina 40, right, with the heavy New York accent. And notice because of social media, she was popular everywhere. But what she had to do was target a district, right? Like the people who got AOC in office, they did a casting call for her. They were looking for new young leaders, right? And a young girl named Sandy Cortez showed up. And then they went around the neighborhood to get her votes. If Tina, I think, had focused more on, instead of making clever videos in her car, because I still don't know why everybody makes fucking videos in their car, like get the fuck out of the car and find a park bench. But like, if she had spent as much time knocking doors as she did making those videos that you and I were watching, because she was hilarious, I think she would have won. And we just have to turn people like her, like, look, Instagram is fun, but you got to get in the neighborhood.
We do media consultant for quite a few candidates, and Tina Fuete, yeah, she said it all weird. really cool chick. I've spoke to her. I was going to interview her, something didn't work out, but her entire campaign was in social media, and that's where a lot of people have to do it. But when you do your social media on anything other than Facebook, and I say this and I hate it, but Facebook is the only real geographical campaign machine that is useful in your district if you're in a district race, because Facebook is all about my grandma's friends, and all that. It's a lot more geographical. When you get on Twitter, it's the world, it's the whole world. Instagram's the whole world. It's Facebook is in a 80-90 percentile for reach to geo placing ads or your information. Twitter and all, they can't really do that. They say they can, but it's really not anywhere near what Facebook can do. But Facebook doesn't allow conservatives to do shit. So Tina was putting out good videos and they were getting around and they were going viral, but there was a lot of people that, like you said, if she's not out there beating the streets and making it happen in her district, you still have to do that. It's the old school way of doing it, but you still have to do it, and she didn't.
It's funny what Chad just reminded me of is that Barack Obama used Facebook for that very reason. They paid big money to get Facebook to target ads geographically for them because they knew that's how you turned out votes. He did it in '08 and he did it in 12. And then in 16, when Trump's people were like, oh, look what Barack Obama did, they used this company called Cambridge Analytica to use Facebook to geographically target voters to get them out in certain districts where they knew they needed votes. And then it's evil, right? But I think what Chad just said is probably something everybody in this conversation should remember, that even though a lot of us have turned away from Facebook, if you do want to have a local effort, no matter what Hillary says about community, if we are folks in our communities, Facebook is a powerful tool for organizing local people.
I couldn't agree more. I barely do anything on my Facebook, but my I'm Fired Up is kind of where we started, in my garage with an iPhone, doing my show locally and then statewide and then regional. And then I, of course, went to radio, but it there's so much power in getting behind a situation in your town, because I'm sure any of you that still have Facebook, you probably know 100, 200 people in your town, just from friends, family, whatever. And those people in the political world, each person, depending, there are demographics that dictate more or less, but each person that sees your video is worth 10 people, because they could share it, they could do this. In different demographics, 5 people. You go into public safety, it could be anywhere from 10 to 20 people, because they have that outreach. That's why police and fire are two of the biggest unions that they go after in all elections, because firefighters get behind you, police get behind you. It dictates 20 per firefighter. There's a lot of little analytics that go that way. And Facebook, nobody can touch Facebook. And if anybody could try to do a Facebook, I don't think it can ever be done, because of the years that Facebook's been around and the machine it's built. But if you're in campaigns, you have to find a way to be able to work a district on Facebook if you're wanting to do just social media. Tina's a great way to show that she didn't, and that went a whole nother direction. And it's sad, because social media isn't nice to conservatives. So even if you're a grassroots guy and don't have a lot of money, and then you got Facebook fighting you too, I mean, it's an uphill battle. But that's why you still have to have the machine on the ground, just like Obama did with Acorn and these other unions. They had boots on the ground and yellow t-shirts everywhere, on top of, because it's one thing to be seen on Facebook, and this is what I tell candidates all the time. You can let them see you, but you have to go out and touch them. You have to let them see that you have people in your neighborhood. You've got to look like you have the biggest military or soldiers on the ground ever, because people want to be with winners. And if you don't look like you have a ground game and nobody's ever heard of you, that's the thing. Stop running for office and start running for your name to be known throughout your district. You do that, you're probably going to win.
Well, not a whole lot of time left back in the day in the show today, but before we do close it up, I just wanted to remind everybody to check out Tap's Locals. If you want to learn how to prompt Chat GPT, do a little bit of coding, some programming, you're going to find all that kind of information there over time. Probably get more detailed. You'll be able to learn a lot. You can always check out the punchbowl.space. Check out our affiliate fungfu.net. Get some mushroom supplements. There's merch stores on there and previously recorded spaces. And as always, on Rumble and Spotify, you can rewatch the episodes.
Hey, thanks, Jeff. Yeah, so I've got some example videos down below. I did create a page on locals, and you may be like, well, I don't know what that is. I don't want to put in my personal information. You already signed up for Twitter. China already has everything you do because the federal government already has everything you do. So what do you have to lose? We like to support things on the right that we're passionate about, but we also say all the time, why am I being censored? Well, Locals is owned by Rumble. Rumble is the free speech platform. Oh, but it's owned by this billionaire. All right, you get your resources together and collect something, but for now, that's the one I'm betting on. Just like you make the arguments to me that Trump is the best bet right now. So, Locals is owned by Rumble, so it's safe, it supports conservative values, and I've got my stuff out there. Oh, Tap, I don't want to give you money. No problem. All I need you to do is just create that account and sign up. You're not going to have to give me any money. It'll artificially increase my participant count. And here's the thing, I'm going to be putting free content out there on as well. Tap, what do you do? Well, if you know anything behind the scenes, the last 7+ months, I've been building applications that run in the cloud 24/7 and collect information about Twitter Spaces, collect information about the interactions on it, that sort of thing. And then we use that to actually engage with our audience, and then there's irons in the fire. So as a part of that, I've put about I'm not going to go into the details on it, but basically I bought a computer and I've been paying for hosting cost every month and Twitter API. So since Elon is so graceful as to make sure that I really appreciate the chance to apply for subscriptions, and it's been over 90 days without a response, I said, heck it, I'm going to the locals because they'll at least let me try and reclaim some costs. So if you do want to support, if you like the punchbowl.space, you can see 2 iterations of that now, of the different types of websites that I can build. That's not just me going out and going to Squarespace or Wix. That's me understanding how it's all put together. That's me selecting components. That's me doing code. That's me writing applications in the background. That's just a small sample of what I can do. You've seen a lot of the content we've done where it comes from ChatGPT. So if you want to learn, come along. If you want my rants, come along. You want to see how we were able to go live with Rumble, stuff like that. You want some insight into some of the stuff that goes on to how we have to structure basically doing social media all day, 9 hours a day for over 6 months. Get onto my local. So I appreciate it. And you're like, hey, why did you go on for so long? I like what I do. I'm pretty proud of myself, and I can at least practice making the pitch for it. So, Tap for Nerd, Grifter Extraordinaire, check me out on locals. If nothing else, if you create the account and it hit become a member, it won't cost you any money. It can sit there forever and it will never have to worry about it again. And people will be like, oh, wow, another person signed up. You know what? Okay, instead of there being 0 people, now there's like more than 20. Can't be that bad. Guess I'll sign that up too. I'll sign up as well. So, and then finally, the guys did update the merch stores. We had basically a bunch of cold weather gear in there. You can't be wearing like hoodies in the summer. Like I know some of you are from areas where you're like, oh, it's not that. Yeah, whatever. All right, so go out and get yourself a hat. Go and get yourself some leggings. Get yourself some shorts. Shorts. Who wears short shorts? Tap us. And go out there and get the summer lineup and get something that's Punchbowl branded and support either Kevin or Jeff stores. Finally, if you want to check out some mushrooms that our sponsor, fungfu.net, puts out, you can get a discount on over 4 varieties of mushrooms that they put out. They actually sell it on walmart.com as well. One for mind, one for body, one for soul, and I forget what the other one is, but I've purchased them all. I've used them all. I like them. Some of the days that I'm on rants and I'm really on it are basically sponsored by Feng Fu. So, fantastic friend of the show. Also, please set notifications for the Punchbowl TM account. We need your help to grow. We are at this point right now where basically we've got about 2,000 people following the Punchbowl TM account, but there's hardly any interaction. What we're doing right now is you'll see stuff like a long form post, and then at the end, like Tap, or like another post, and you'll see at the end Jeff or Kevin or Webb. What we're doing is you're going to see more engagement under that account as we put out more content to try and engage with y'all, so we can also get an idea for what y'all want to talk about, work that into the show, etc. So you got something you want to talk about? There's an article where you're like, this really grinds my gears. Tag the Punchbowl TM account. Tag the Punchbowl TM, tag me, tag Webb. Maybe we get a conversation going. We get that engagement going. Why should all the engagement go to all the people that really, one, hate us, and two, are just doing whatever they can in order to get the money from Elon? Support what you believe in. All right, now we're going on 5 minutes of Tap for Nerd Talking. Big violation. So thank you all for your support. Y'all have a good one.
Thanks, Tap. Yeah, Locals being supported by Rumble. If most people don't know, Timcast, his whole website is actually it's based on Rumble's platform. He goes through there. Louder with Crowder, who today announced he is opening Mug Club Network. He had his show at 10 a.m. Eastern. He announced that. So Rumble's getting bigger by the day. It's becoming the new go-to. Hey, Angela, what's going on?
Hey, I'm totally supportive of that merch, guys. Fly the colors. Yesterday, we were in San Francisco. I was with some colleagues. Oh, yeah, from here, from Twitter. I met him for the first time. And we were in San Francisco and standing in kind of a prominent place. And we got approached by several people. One guy asked, dude, I want your hat. And he goes, I'll get you one. So, yeah, wear the merch.
Tap, I messaged you in the DMs, so check that later.
Well, I can't DM Tap for Nerd. It doesn't give me the option.
Now you'll be able to. Sorry, I don't know why I wasn't following you back.
You must be one of those big influencers that get paid by Elon.
No, I'm that silent majority.
No, not you, Tex. Tap. He didn't follow you back because he's that way. But there's people that I need to follow back, but they only let you follow back so many people or some shit. It's stupid.
Yeah, they take it as bot activity if you start following people. And they used to have it. I don't know if you still can, but if you followed someone, they would prompt you, do you want to follow everybody else that they follow? Like, no.
All right. So I've got my avatar sitting in. Yeah, it's 11. I've got my avatar sitting in Discord in the Punchbowl family voice. So I'll be sitting in there passively today with a couple other punch bowlers. So you ever listen to like Timcast? They're like, we're going behind the scenes, behind the paywall. We don't have a paywall. Discord's free. If you get into any trouble trying to log in, just let us know. But basically, you can join that. You can request a mic. There's not a limit on mics. Or excuse me, you don't even request a mic. You just demand one. You click it. And then you can talk with us. Kind of weigh in, that sort of thing. If not, you don't want to talk to anyone, you want to do some meditation, you want to go for a walk, I get it. But if you're stuck at work and you want to continue interacting with the Punchbowl and the broader Punchbowl family, come over to Discord. We don't get your information. We're not charging for it. We're just basically trying to make a place where we can share information quicker, especially when we're at that point where we're like, wait, Metabiota, what was the details? Oh, we have it here in a thread. Or I don't really want to be on Spaces because like these crazy people are going to join, but I would like to talk to like Bishop about like, hey, what was that thing about like that railroad derailment, and get his perspective without having someone come in and being like, I want to talk about why the COVID vaccine turned my dog into a butterfly. So check out the Discord. We'll be in there just chatting, and let us know if you have any trouble finding it.
And there's no host. You just go in, and if you want to talk, you turn your mic on. It's just free for all room. A lot of fun. You can even interact and play games if you want to, once you learn it.
Looks like
Butterfly.
DeSantis just changed his, kicked out his campaign manager. How about that noise?
Yay.
I heard yesterday that Trump is going to tag him for VP, and I was kind of like going, wait, what? There's a lot of ugly going on there.
Byron Donalds, man, he's the man.
Dude. Butterflies are demonic, by the way.
They're just pretty moths.
No, they start as bait and then they go into a house and come back something else.
Are they the first trans?
Exactly.
Tap, did you put a link up in the nest or in the comment bubble for Discord?
No.
Should we
Will you?
rebrand trans as metas? Like
Chad,
metamorphosis?
is this guy your friend?
Wait, who?
He
What?
can't
This
see the person requesting Jeff G.
oh yeah, I forget about that. This Thomas guy. Thomas D. Murphy.
Yeah, with the beard, he's good, dude.
U.S. Navy retired, combat, good man, medic.
He's running for office.
He's running for office.
Do any of us have it in our bio to just grab? I can't be the only one that's capable of this. Let's see. Wait, why are we still running? It's 11:03.
All right. Well, everybody have a good day.
We've been telling people where to find the Discord link. If they got it by now, they can search it. I'm not hoodie in the bill of flesh. I'm not going to hold Joe hand. Just kidding. I'll send you the link for you.
I'm sorry, I am technologically challenged to an extent. I can program like a son of a gun in Excel, but all this internet stuff keeps moving around. So just have mercy, brother.
I'm having mercy.
I'm a dork.
wish
I
I
don't know
could-
where to find the stupid link either.
Yeah, I can't find it either. I'm trying to go through the app.
For Discord, can't you just go to the
None of
Punchbowl
us have
TM
it in
account?
our. No, it's not there. It's in. It's not it's in location because we had to move shit around because people wanted other shit there.
See? Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Let me get Tap some mushrooms.
Yeah.
Okay, guys.
I
The
see
department
it.
pager just went off. I got to run. Y'all be safe. Be blessed. Love y'all. See you tomorrow, I hope.
You be safe.
All right.
I
Post
see
down
it on
below.
the Punchbowl TM account, but I can't click on it. So do I just screenshot it and then go back and enter all the digits?
No, there's disappearing
I regret
digits on there, and that's why it got funky. And it's not a full-blown link, even though it shows a small
Dang.
link. There's actually a whole bunch of extra characters.
I just put it down below in the comments. Also, we should probably get back to no.